If you're coming for quality content, then I'm not really sure why you picked this channel. This is obviously one of the worst choices you could have ever made.
Why are you here? Why are you still watching? Please end the video and go to, like, I don't know, Jeff Kaplan. He's a pretty cool dude. Check him out. Check him out. Check him out on his Twitter website. That's the CDMs there. I mean, being honest, he is a pretty cool dude, though. Go check him out. He's pretty nice.
I don't even know what you're talking about.
He's the Overwatch boyo.
Oh, I don't even know.
There you go. Okay.
Anyway, we're here to talk about the last expansion mode that we have not talked about in great length and or detail. As in, like, we covered a large portion or the basic gist of survival in our original Division review, but now I think since the Underground got its own little review, I thought to myself, why not give this one its own fair share?
Alright. Where do you want to start?
I am awful at transition, so I didn't have anything.
Okay.
So the game starts out after you queue up. Basically, after a cutscene, you're basically informed that you've been left behind after your helicopter's crashed and you're stranded in the middle of a snowstorm. You make your way into a small building, and now you have an hour to live. You wake up in this small cramped room, and Isaac informs you that you now have an hour to live as an infection ravages your body. And yeah.
Well, after that train wreck of the beginning, I mean, literally, well, no, it's more a helicopter crash. Sorry, that was a bad pun. Anyway,
unintentional
as soon as you wake up, oh yeah, kinda. Yeah, train wreck. Yeah, okay, never mind. Sorry, moving on. After you wake up, you have an hour to live, and you scavenge from your room, and you'll find a single piece of fabric and a painkillers. And I'll let you go from there.
Painkillers do what are obvious. They delay the infection's ability to kill you. The timer will stop for a normal amount of time and will act kind of like as a debuff effect. It'll inform you just above below your health bar of how much time until its effects wear off. The fabric is used as crafting material, such as in the base game, to craft basic clothing, which actually cosmetic items now are, like Alex said before, are now your main source of resisting the bitterness of the outside world.
Also, so you can look fabulous.
As you make your way outside, you'll come to realize that this isn't your average game or ballpark. The entire city has been covered in snow, and the storm is just beginning. The more you move and traverse the area, you can find that you'll struggle to keep warm. The more clothes you have, the better you can resist the storm's cold effects. As if your cold bar reaches 0, you will die of hypothermia. There is no coming back.
Yep, I know that.
We know this all too well.
Yep.
Your basic objective is to scavenge everything. Every nook and cranny might contain goodies. Mostly any NPC guarded areas, such as landmarks and other canvases or gang fights, might contain items in trucks, in bags, stores, anything. Stores in particular are actually very good if you're looking for a specific item. Places like clothes stores obviously contain the necessary fabrics to craft clothing. TV and band stores contain electronics used to craft your basic abilities.
And your police cars or police stations, you can find weapon parts which you can use for weapons. Also, these are usually been booby-trapped somehow, because there's usually some sort of C4 charge hiding behind the door. So, listen for a slight beeping sound and look around doors if you can. Or just keep moving really fast, because it does have a slight delay on detonation. So, if you keep moving, you won't have any issues with those.
Overcoming the cold will pretty much take almost a majority of your time. for base, it is not quite easy to try to counteract the negative 30 degrees Celsius outside. The better your clothing, the more you'll be able to resist, and the slower you'll freeze. It becomes more manageable as you collect it. You can either craft it or find it by scavenging apartments or finding it off of enemies. You can disassemble things such as armor, your weapons, and other materials like that. However, you cannot dismantle or trade any of your clothing items you may pick up. So keep your eye out for that.
I don't think that's a feature. I think that was more of a system they couldn't really implement.
I know, but might as well they might well know about it. For a mode like this, I love this setup. I love games that involve like survival, like scavenging and crafting, and basically you start out with nothing. That's why I'm like a big fan of Call of Duty Zombies, even though this has nothing to do with it.
Yeah. Also, a lot of people, when they see gameplay of it, they may think of it, oh, it's just another Battle Royale mode. No and yes, there is a PvP mode, which is basically the same game mode, but
I tend to avoid that because I compare that to the Dark Zone, and I don't really like it.
Yeah, but one thing I want to mention, this is different due to the fact that there is no outside circle pushing you towards each other. It's just your own pace, meaning you can just chill around in the outside areas for the next 30 minutes and make a bum rush right toward the Dark Zone, or you can immediately bum rush toward the Dark Zone, get lucky, get some extra loot, and go inside with 50 minutes to spare, if you play your cards right.
Speaking about enemies and also playing your cards, the Dark Zone is your primary target. All that you're building up to is the Dark Zone. That is where you'll be extracting at. The closer you move to the Dark Zone, the harder and more challenging the enemies will get, including you'll start encountering patrolling purples and also sometimes the specialized bosses. Their visibility is actually very low, and due to this, you can actually get away with a lot of things and or lose enemies if you find yourself in a pinch. It is quite easy to fight back if you ambush patrols or squads if you ambush them from an unexpected area.
Yep. And I personally recommend finding another person to play with, preferably with a microphone, due to the fact that you can do double damage, and also you can look for each other's back. And in case you may unfortunately die, you might have a friend that comes along who has a medkit and can revive you.
Medkits do equal revive, so you'll need to have those. The max is 3 once you get the standard supplies for it. Other items such as the water and food actually play a more critical role than in the base game. For example, the food can now enable your regeneration while in the midst of battle, and also regeneration in general, without having to need to use safe rooms in order to fully regenerate your health again. Water allows you to see items through walls and in a much greater area. Debuffs such as hunger and thirst prevent this. Such as hunger will prevent your health regeneration at all. You must eat food in order to remedy this, or drink water, which will prevent you able to see items at all.
Yeah. It definitely, with the water debuff, it makes it so much harder to find items. I mean, one time I ran up to a chest and I'm like, is this an interactable? I had to get so close to it to actually get the notification. I had to actually open it before I found out. So you can easily miss a medkit that's hidden back of a truck if you don't have water equipped or you have the water debuff. So always keep that in mind. Hunger isn't so bad, but
if you do take crucial amounts of damage, you will start taking so much of a bleed effect, though.
Yeah.
I found that it only happened to me like twice, but it does happen.
Yeah, bleeding is a larger factor here due to the fact that if you have the hunger debuff, that means your health isn't going to be regenerating so much, and it's going to be hurting you a lot more. Thankfully, they balanced the game, so earlier enemies, at least on the outer areas, won't have any fragmentation grenades, only smoke grenades. So you won't die instantly from a random fragment.
Speaking about enemies, there is one thing that most new players avoid, but actually it might be very good since people do avoid it. Landmarks. They are very good and they mostly contain goodies inside, but with these prizes come with a price. There are enemies inside and mostly of the harder difficulty, depending if their distance near the Dark Zone. If they're further away, they mostly contain reds with 1 purple. If they are near the Dark Zone, they contain mostly purples with 1 yellow. If they are inside the Dark Zone, they will all be yellow. but they mostly contain rewarding items if you're able to clear them out. But be careful, some players can leech off it and actually steal your items while you're distracted, so you might want to do it quickly.
Yeah, we've been on the receiving end and on the giving end of that, so we know how that feels.
Most of these landmarks can be found and actually identify, and actually much like in the base game, actually I'll let you know if they've been cleared or not. Most of the items you can find there include tools, electronics, weapon parts, and weapon caches, and also the almighty, what I like to call pimp crates, which contain multiple items such as food, weapons, armor, and etc. And mostly of higher quality. Usually, it never usually gives you greens. Mostly blues, and if you're really lucky, yellows. Weapons and rarities depend, like on such weapons and also tools and other things like that, depend on how far away from the dark zone. The further away you are, the more common you'll get greens and blues. Like such as inside the dark zone, you get nothing but yellows.
Yep. But the only one issue is, once you reach the dark zone, no enemies are gonna drop weapons. They're only gonna drop sealed caches, which aren't really that useful. So you gotta be prepared once you go in, because once you go in, you're basically stuck with your guns unless you go out of your way to get crafting materials, which can be a little bit of a hassle if you don't know where to go.
All right. So you've crafted enough clothing to reach equilibrium. Equilibrium is collected through the clothing and able to match the outside temperature. Once that happens, you will not be able to die of hypothermia anymore. And so you've collected your pain pills, you've collected enough food to survive, enable your generation, you've collected your weapons to defend yourself, and now it's time to enter the dark zone. You need to craft a virus filter in order to enter due to the virus's higher presence within the city. So in order to craft that, you require it tells you what you need, and once you craft it, be aware that the dark zone is a one-way trip. There is no going back after you enter. Entering without a mask equals immediate death.
Can I talk about the advanced virus filter now?
Yes, yeah, I was actually hoping you'd do that.
Oh, okay. Alright then. Once you craft the basic virus filter, you also get the option to create the advanced virus filter. You may think, well, that's kind of useful. I mean, well, useless, but anyway, what I'm trying to get to is throughout the map there are contaminated areas, which you can't actually get into with the basic virus filter. Craft the advanced one. You may be thinking, those are kind of useless. Why would I ever want to go into an extra area that's contaminated? Well, Zach experienced this due to the fact that I never really crafted them, but he reported that there was quite a lot of loot and a large amount of clothing, painkillers, and at least one weapon stash in the higher areas, right?
Yep. Weapon and armor caches are identifiable due to how long or narrow they are. The long flat ones indicate a weapons cache, while the more boxed in ones look like pretty much ammo boxes. Contain armor and stuff and items like that.
If you're having trouble in the earlier areas, like finding loot, you may have gone to a landmark that's already been looted. Grab the advanced virus filter, because not a lot of people do it. So you can just go into those areas, grab that loot, and come out, because there's a low chance anyone's gonna go there and get it.
Quick tip for anyone who plays PvP. If you, I learned this from some of my other people I play with on the Division, as in, these contaminated areas can be used as an escape mechanism. If you're being chased, go into them if you have the advanced virus filter, because most likely they won't have it, and they won't follow you in.
Yep, and usually at least for the one area that we saw, there are multiple entrances and exits. So if they follow you in with one way, you can just go out the other exit.
Alright, so we've talked about that, and now I think we should talk about the almighty farming. If you have extra time on you, so if you get all set up early, like you've got a lot of your items before everyone else, you might experience you have a lot of extra time on your virus, as in you may have maybe 30, 20, heck, maybe even 25 or 30 if you're really lucky. So I think this is a good time we can talk about farming. If you have all your items, I recommend staying near the dark zone entrances and look around and keep your eye out for enemies. Try to get them into combat with you, and also I recommend you fight bosses, for they contain the best goodies on them.
Mostly cleaners.
Yeah, cleaners.
Cleaner bosses are the easiest.
Unfortunately, rest in peace, cleaners. You are still easy.
Yeah.
Especially the boss, since he doesn't have a long-range attack.
Yeah, I mean, I think you would call that unfair if he did have a long-range attack.
I know. but there is actually something. I bet some people will be asking. But wait, what about Riker bosses? What about the LMG bosses for the rioters? And I'm glad you asked. If you coordinate with your team, or if you do it on your own, you can either easily pick away at his armor, or actually it's pretty easy to fight back if you flank him. Have one of your teammates go around him while he's firing all his bullets at another player. If you can flank him, you can easily take him down. Like, most of these bosses are slow, so if you feel like the battle is getting too hot, run away and regroup. Their vision they'll actually lose you if you run away too far, unless like there's like a really big group, because then they'll actually there's like a chance they'll follow you. But if you get far enough away, they'll actually lose you and they'll stop chasing you. So there's a good way to get if it gets too hot for you.
Yeah.
Literally.
One thing I must say about this mode, I like it due to the fact that you have a choice of engagement. It's no longer walk down the street and then immediately they spot you and you're fighting.
Yeah,
usually
you pretty much have to be point blank for them to see you.
Yeah, like you gotta be really close.
Unless like they hear your gunshots, then they're automatically aware of you.
Yeah, but most of the heavy bosses usually have some type of flashlight, so you're gonna know they're coming towards you.
It's a pretty good ominous warning saying like, hey, there's a guy coming. If you're in that flashlight, they're gonna see you.
Yep. So you're like, alright, I don't want to take on this yellow boss. I'm gonna go down the street and kill some more purples, and then as soon as I get a better weapon, I can come back and kill them.
Yeah, patrolling yellow bosses usually are accompanied by a red or another boss with them. So they usually travel in packs, so be aware of that. I recommend taking down the lighter guy first, and if you're able to, you can pick off the other one with a sniper rifle.
Alright.
Alright, so you've gotten your gear, you farmed a little bit, you got plenty of items, you got your extra med kits, you got everything you possibly need. But I recommend there's still one more thing. Yes. Collect some high-end weapon parts before you enter. You're gonna want them later. It gives you a good old head start if you don't already have them already. You need about 2 of them, and only 1 player needs to do it if you're not going for yellow items in the first place.
Yeah, also, one other thing to mention, craft abilities before you go in. Because one problem I realized, all the skill crafting recipes, only, at least some of like Pulse, uses like 3 blue electronics. As soon as you go into the dark zone and you don't have 3 blue electronics, you can't make it at all. There's no chance of you getting.
Like, I recommend that we craft support station, Pulse, and some other ones if you're feeling a bit in particularly silly.
Yeah. Don't go for tech upgrades due to the fact that because they're realizing the electronic skill, and the armor for some reason always seems to lower the electronic score. At least the higher ranks for some reason. I don't know why.
I usually upgrade my toughness because I think health is really important in this, especially when you get to the later bosses.
Yeah, I kind of disagree, but I mean, it's worked for him, so
alright.
I guess you could do that.
Alright, so you either alone or your team has entered the dark zone. You initiate your mask and prepare to find an extraction zone. You're then alerted that you require antivirals and a flare gun in order to escape. This is where it comes in handy. Scour your map and you'll find a DNA looks like a DNA strand symbol on your map. That is where you're going to want to go because it contains your division tech that's required for the flare gun crafting recipe. Only one of your teammates, if you're in a group, only needs to craft it. So if all of you are planning to go grab your division tech, they can actually be used to craft better weapons, as in they're required to do it.
Yep. Some of the better weapons, such as sniper rifles, perhaps, do require 3 weapon parts. Not 2, not 1, 3.
You can also use division tech to craft high weapon parts.
Yeah, but division tech is really hard to find.
Like, you can also scour the map and you actually find division tech lying around.
Yeah, but like we've only found 2 caches in the many runs we've done so far.
Alright, also a quick tip. The average...
Make the flare gun first.
The average temperature around the dark zone is around -17. If you get your temperature around 17 degrees, you should be all right. So now you've crafted your flare gun. You've crafted whatever you need, and now you must pick your means of escape. There are multiple extraction sites around the area. And either no matter which one you go to, it's all up to you. And if you want, you can even do some farming inside the dark zone because they all contain better items. Only purples and yellows will spawn in these areas, so do watch out for that. Mostly PMCs and cleaners are the most common to see in these areas for obvious reasons. And now you've gotten all your gear, you've gotten everything you need, and you're ready to get out. Time is running low. Isaac had warned you about the impending infection level that increases ever so close down to the 15-minute mark if you're actually doing that stuff. You run to the nearest extraction and you call in your helicopter. But there's a problem. You're not alone on that helipad.
A heavily armed unit is coming too. Sorry.
A heavily armored unit heads towards your location. The hunters.
Fuck, you're right.
The hunters.
Oh, I messed it up.
Hunters will spawn, and this is your final boss fight. 1 hunter per player. If any other players show up to that extraction point while you guys are calling it in, more hunters will spawn.
If you leave and come back, it spawns another one.
If you leave the area or go too far away, the helicopter will leave. You have 3 minutes to kill the hunters. Not exactly that you'll lose, but then that's when he arrives, so you have a little bit of time. The helicopter will patiently wait above your calm location until you kill the hunters. They must die first. These hunters are coordinated, as in they will heal each other and also use abilities. I recommend you use sniper rifles and possibly rifles, depending on who's using them, in order to defeat them.
Well, another method I gotta say, if you want to, what you could do, at least for me and Zach, what you could do is, like, Zach, can you help me on this?
What?
Help me describe the sniper strategy that we usually do.
The sniper strategy.
Help me explain it?
Alright, I'll go in with it. Some people do not do this because they consider it an exploit, but I find it alright because it's, it's a viable option.
Yeah, I don't see any other way they could fix it. I
recommend at least 1 or 2 players craft the M44 sniper rifle, for its headshot damage is impeccable. On normal missions, it can 2-shot headshot hunters if your aim is that good. 1 player will call it in the high tower extraction point. Once they call it in, they must make their way down onto the street and up a nearby rope. There you'll have your sniper area. The hunters will not follow because they cannot grapple up to you. And then you have your depending on how many players, you have your one-on-one fight now, where you'll try to, but while the hunters can still hurt you from that far away, you have a much better vantage point above them since you have a little bit of a height advantage and also rifles to take them down. However, their abilities can still reach you depending on what they throw at you. Seeker bombs and also the regular grenades are still pretty effective at that range. If you happen to take damage at this point, simply fall back and get out of their rain of fire and let your health regenerate.
Yep. Also, use pulse to figure out where the heck they are. So, like, it's actually sometimes it's hard to see them due to the fact that they take cover pretty effectively and their armor is pretty good camouflage. So use pulse to figure out where they're going to be and when they're going to pop out, so you know when to take the shot.
And I'm pretty sure
the aid station could be used to revive yourself without using a med kit.
And I'm pretty sure everyone already knows this from Underground Review, but they can heal themselves. Each hunter is equipped with 3 on-hand med kits. If you want to get them done quickly, simply just keep hitting them with simple pellets over and over again to get them to use their medkits early on. The faster you do it, the faster you can get them to stop healing themselves and actually take them down. If you're quick enough, you can actually kill them before they heal, but it's pretty unlikely. Either that or you have a freaking god tier aim.
It's possible. I think I think the reload speed for it is just fast enough, but you're gonna have to do it really fast because I think it takes like 3 seconds for them to heal themselves, and 1.5 seconds for the gun to reload. So you can, but it's really hard to do.
Okay. All right. So be warned, if you're not doing that default, if you're not doing that strategy, there's other ways you can do it, such as sniping them from a different area, hitting them with the rifles, getting up close to them. Actually, no, scratch that last one. Don't do that. It's an awful idea.
Don't.
You will be, no matter, regardless on on how many players you have, you will be one-shotted by their melee weapon.
Yeah. So don't craft any shotgun. Just don't do it.
That's an awful idea. Don't get up close to them.
Yeah.
Except these ones these hunters are a lot more passive than in the underground, even though these were the first. These ones will technically tend to stay away from you. Unless you rush them, because then they'll get up in your face.
Yeah. I mean, another reason why you don't buy the tech upgrades, because they can hack them.
Yes, I don't recommend buying turrets or smart drones.
Yeah. I tried the turrets, I was going like, I felt so clever until they destroyed it immediately, and I felt so stupid.
Sticky bombs are kind of useless.
Yeah.
So, okay, so after a long and tedious fight, depending on how hard they actually were, how aggressive your hunters were, you managed to defeat them. Your helicopter arrives and lands. There was 4 seats. Other players can hijack your extraction since there's only 4 seats. So be careful about that. You all get into your helicopter and fly away.
Oh, wait, just so you know, for some reason, you may have terrible luck, and enemies can spawn below in that street area if you're doing this sniper.
They also can walk around and also get triggered at you for shooting, and then they can come at you during the fight, but that's a rare occurrence at best, because some of these extraction points are kind of isolated.
Yeah, but, so always look both directions.
Okay, but then there's the opposite side of the coin besides, so you might have extracted one time, but sometimes you might not be as fortunate. The infection, if it reaches 0, it does not drain your health over time. You cannot remedy it anymore. Once it hits 0, you will die. The infection sends you into a sepsis coma as your body slowly dies. There is no coming back. You cannot be revived. You cannot come back after that. It's over.
Wait, I forgot. The hunters do have a one-shot axe. So, and they also have a chance to stun you with their, like, shock bullets or something.
Or tasers.
Yeah, taser probably. And then they will go into an animation and kill you with their axe. So just be careful when you.
Well, you can still come back from that. You can still be revived by that. You just go into the unconscious state, even though you took a big axe to the spine. Like you have a promise of a back of steel. My backpack protected me. Isaac sacrificed himself. So I think we're reaching the 28-minute mark. My overall opinion of this mode is I think it's one of the best modes that you can get on the Division for an expansion. If I had to give a choice, like of each one to buy, I recommend the survival mode. As in right now, if anyone still wants to like actively play survival or anything different, if everyone's going to buy an expansion, I recommend this one. I mean to go out and buy it. It really is a new change of pace for this game.
Do it.
And there's also a Hunger Games like PvP section if you feel like that's more of a cup of tea. But that's not for us.
No thanks, not for me.
So I think that just wraps it up. Any final thoughts?
I don't know. Always look both ways before crossing the street with your dog.
Yeah, it's a reference that no one will get.
Okay. Also, beware the snowbeard. The snowbeard. You know, the dangerous enemy that lurks around the streets at night.
I ain't
Look
looking
out
at
to steal the naughty children.
Mmm.
The naughty children who don't clean up after themselves.
When everyone asks about where's the survival streams, yeah, I finally told you guys how to prevent them from sending you to Axvich.